so hard in 2010 to elect Lane Fitzpatrick. Come up and give us some words,
Hello, JTP, how you doing? You guys now you're fired up for 2012, we're just getting going. It's a wonderful thing. First off, before I forget, let me say thanks so much for all the hard work that you guys did in 2010. You wanted to take the country back, you wanted to fire Nancy Pelosi. You got all that done in 2010 with an awful, of course, it wasn't with an awful lot of work. And work that occurred in the 8th district from northeast Philadelphia all the way up to Regalsville and across to Montgomery County. And what we did in the 8th district is duplicated in districts throughout Pennsylvania, districts throughout the country. And a message was sent loud and clear to the nation's capital. We have to put the country's fiscal house back in order, start cutting spending, and getting the economy back on track. So, it's been I'll be honest with you, it's been a difficult time in the nation's capital, going down there with the kind of wind that we had in 2010, faced with the reality that with all the work that we know needs to be done and we're anxious to do, we still only control 1/2 of 1/3 of the government. The other 2/3, of course, Harry Reid still has the Senate, and Barack Obama's still in the White House, and that's what the 2012 elections are about. Right? That's what elections are about. So this, the theme I think of 2012 has got to be that we got to finish the job. And you can help us finish that job? What do you think? You see that little organization has moved into Bucks County out of San Francisco, California. I think Nancy Pelosi probably likes them pretty well out there. They probably like her, but Nancy Pelosi does not represent Bucks County, and they don't represent Bucks County. They don't represent our values. Apparently, what you do is you start up a little mobile phone company for progressives. You get all your progressive friends to sign up for Credo Mobile, and a portion of that money goes to Credo Super PAC, the things that they're against, and that money gets driven into the districts they want to target. They've already raised about $600,000. They want to raise $3 million. They're going to bring a big, substantial portion of those funds right here into Bucks County. And so we've got our work cut out for us. And this is a race that we must win. And I'm not just talking about the race for the United States Congress, and the race for the United States Senate, and Pennsylvania is critical as well. But most importantly, that race for the White House. And there are a couple of reasons we have to win it. And if you think about what President Obama said he was going to do in 2008 in those elections, first think about the promises he made that he didn't keep. He talked about hope and change. He said he was going to close down Guantanamo Bay. Broke the promise, said he was going to try Khalid Sheikh Mohammed in New York City. Thankfully, he was not able to do that. But think about all the things that he tried to do that he couldn't do. Think about the things that he promised to do, and he actually did do. A stimulus program, $800 billion, created no jobs, cap and trade, and then, of course, the health care bill. The 2,600-page bill that we fought so hard against in 2010, and now is before the Supreme Court. And if you listen to prognosticators and the legal analysts, they believe it's about to be declared unconstitutional, which is the position that I took. One of the 30 members of Congress actually filed a brief before the Supreme Court pointing out that the individual mandate is unconstitutional and non-severable from the rest of the bill. So if the mandate is found unconstitutional, the whole bill must fail. And that's, of course, position. And finally, the third reason is the things that the president may do in a second term. When he left the microphone on in Russia, we all heard how he said, left unrestrained, without the inhibitions of the next election, he'd have flexibility, he said. Flexibility to do what he wants to do. Whether it's trade away the secrets of our national intelligence to what he could do to the United States Supreme Court in the next 4 years would affect not just the next 4 years, but the next 40 years. And think about these cases that are coming out of the United States Supreme Court being decided in 5-4 decisions, 5-4 one way or 5-4 the other way. Think about what the president could do to our freedoms and our liberties if he's able to reform that Supreme Court in the image that he believes it should be. And so that's what's at stake in this 2012 election. Not just our need to keep the United States House of Representatives in the hands of Speaker Boehner and the Republican majority, but taking the Senate, taking back the White House, putting the country back on the right track, and back in the hands of the future of our children and our grandchildren, which is where it never should have been taken from in the first place. So that's what's at stake, and I know that every one of you understand it. That's why you're here. And I know that every one of you will work as hard as you possibly can, as hard as you possibly can, to make sure that we're successful in 2012. So for what you've done already, for what you did in 2010 for me, and for the Republican majority in the House, for what you're doing for all the candidates in 2012, and what we're going to do throughout November 6th this year, I want to say thank you. I look forward to seeing you many times throughout the course of the year. Thanks for letting me stand.